Good morning, good afternoon.
Morning.
So we are just waiting a minute to just let someone join from the main room to this panel room for an exciting session in front of us. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Let's give it another minute to go and then we will kick it off. I can see many people joining. I will let them in and it's still growing.
Yeah, because people are coming in from the other room.
So
I'll do it, don't worry. I'll admit them.
Next time we will play music like the usual Co-Liv event style. So we have still something to improve, although it's already a great and amazing day yesterday. So let's give it a start. Right.
Where is Guy when you need him to play the music?
Yeah. You know, I mean, he's just 5 minutes or 5 meters. Or is it Kate? No, it's Kate doing all of that. So now she's already sitting next to me. Now, great. I would say, let's give it a start. I would like to introduce myself, first of all. Christian here, I'm the head of tech at Co-Liv, and next to my role, I'm inspired by tech, and I'm working for Salto Systems, being the global lead for shared living and workspaces. And with all the initiatives we have been raising the last years with Co-Liv, technology has become a really important one. So, and one of the most and frequent asked questions was actually the topic we have brought to you today. It's the one dashboard approach by property managers, and by now being surrounded by 3 industry leaders in the field, Ajay Kumar, Gadetan de Dietrich, and Giles Horwitch-Smith. And before we start, I just want to promote a bit what we have announced yesterday. I just share my screen, give me a second. You should be able to see my
Go to present.
So again, welcome to the multi-stack governance, the one dashboard approach by property management providers, announcing 3 different leading industry experts and their thoughts about this model of being surrounded with us today. So let's go a bit and discuss what we have been announcing yesterday about the tech community. So if you have ever struggled to identify which technology is the best fit for you, so I mean, there are many technology topics upcoming, and we have seen a lot of interests from startups not being sure what technology is the right and the best fit, what is the best fit of technology if they want to scale, do they go custom or do they go with an out-of-the-box solution? Actually, to give a bit of a guiding, that has always treated us to have a look at what can be the best guiding for them. And I think the community again is here to empower, to educate, and to share the insights. And I'm super happy again to have the industry leaders with me now to share their insights in a competition role. And what we have announced yesterday was going into the way how we want to approach the tech community, looking at the 4 or 5 different phases covering the discovery, curation, onboarding, in-house life, offboarding, and afterlife. And in here we are looking at different hardware and software applications and just making sure that we cover the entire customer journey. Now, without further ado, just one more comment on that. So if you really would like to have a deeper look into this. So please go to the tech community site of Co-Liv, co-liv.org. You can find the screens I've just shown you. Look at it. If you miss an application, please shoot us a message, because the manifesto we are creating on the tech side of things is being an ongoing work, and we want to learn from you. So you are on the front seat, and we would like you become an active contributor to what we are building. Now, without further ado, let's kick it off, the one dashboard approach by property management providers. And I would like to give a spotlight to our panelists to introduce themselves. And let's start with Ajay. So I will share your screen, the screen now, and the slides. So Ajay,
Yep.
go for it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here, and a lot of accolades to you and your team for putting this together. It's been a fantastic couple of days. Hi everyone, I'm Ajay, co-founder and CEO of the House Monk. We like to think of ourselves as the operating system for rental real estate. Let me give you a couple of quick pointers about our company. So we launched in 2018. We're based in Singapore and Bangalore. Our software helps landlords and rental operators in managing their business cycle end to end. We service close to 100 clients right now across 12 countries. And we have a 30-member team across product engineering as well as sales and marketing. Let me maybe give you a quick context about what our products actually do. We have 4 products that we sell to our customers. The first is Recode, which is a property management system, helps you keep track of your portfolio, your rental rates, collections, so on and so forth. Our second product is Regrow, which is a marketing and sales management system. Our third product is ReXP, which is a tenant experience solution. And our fourth product is ReOps, which is an operations management tool, which kind of helps in facility management, visitor management, and asset maintenance and management as well. So these are just a very high level of our products. Talking quickly about how we approach technology. We have a very open system and a very open architecture overall. We believe in integrations. We come pre-integrated with about 25 different technology providers who, everything from CRM to sales management to tenant experience to IoT to a whole suite of payment collections and a whole suite of other providers as well. So that's just a quick background about the House Monk. Hope to connect with all of you and hope I can add something insightful to today's discussion. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ajay. Let's go with the next panelist, Gadetan. You would like to let us know what you think and who you are. So I really like that slogan, changing the future of living. It's not just co-living, but living as such. So I really like that. Go for it.
Eventually, we'll take the co out of co-living. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here. Thanks for all the work that you're putting in getting all of us together on very important topics. All right, I'll talk to you a bit about Hamlet. So we started off as an operator, which we still are. We've served about 4,000 customers since we started in 2017, short-term, long-term. We are present in the Asian region at large, from Japan all the way down to Australia. Serving about 1,200 users at the moment, 300 different operator personnel and landlords combined. We operate serving teams internally, members and landlords. Won't go into too much detail here, but our approach is basically to come up with a all-in-one solution where we have a web portal, customer facing, but also landlord facing, a mobile application for the members that the system serves, and then an internal dashboard serving our teams. The idea is to collect all our information in one centralized location. We like to think of our systems doing two things: preventing pits and creating peaks. So removing pain points inside the experience, but also helping operators differentiate themselves through experience staging and bringing added value to their customers. Yeah, we've taken the approach of an integrative one. We think it takes a village to raise a co-living operation, and we don't want to restrict our systems to our choices. Let the specialists do what they do best. Basically, this is how we've architectured our system to take in and integrate as many specialized services. And that's it.
Thank you, Gadetan. So let's go to the last one, Giles. The Resmonics part. Give it a go. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Christian. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here, and really enjoying the summit so far. Guys, as everyone said, it's great. Really lovely to see this happening. My name's Giles from Res Harmonics. We do a platform for operating what we call innovative living, which really brings in all of this hospitality-led living that we're seeing, and co-living is really at the forefront of that. My background is originally in technology, and then I went into property development and management of service departments and build to rent residential. And actually our first sort of incarnation of Res Harmonics was an internal platform, similar to how Gadetan and the Hamlet team have built theirs. We then moved into a full technology world. And over the last 10 years, we've built platforms for some of the leading operators in service departments in the world. And we're now launched in 2016, our cloud platform, which is the Res Harmonics platform that you sort of see today, if and when you were to come and talk to us. It's focused on the whole of the sort of world of running service departments and co-living, from attract to perform to deliver to nurture, and critically to today's session, reporting. And because we bring all of those together in one platform, you have channel management, booking engine, online portals to convert clients and take them through the contract signing process. Then you're into that sort of performance management of the business, ensuring that the customers are billed, looked after well, that you're managing your rates well, and taking payments on a recurring basis. And then through to delivery of a great service and great guest experience in housekeeping and so on. Thanks for keeping pace here, Christian. I can see the slides moving as we go, so I'm taking notes. Yeah, and obviously we do provide one platform. The other piece to this is that we have a really rich tech ecosystem, and you've seen some of that over the last day, and you'll see more of that today. But actually having a PMS at the center of that brings it all together really actually brings insights into one place, saves you an awful lot of time in what would otherwise be fragmented, moving between systems and distracting your staff and your team from looking after customers and looking after a great space. And we've done that to try and bring that together to make that easy so that you get all of that data into one place. If you could do the next slide, Christian, that'd be lovely. And on that same basis, we've got that sort of one platform. We can do this one dashboard theme that today's session's about. And obviously by having all of the information in one place, you're not searching for information. It can be surfaced to you in a way that's important and you can see and manage by exception. And you can actually really understand the KPIs to your business, align it with your strategies and what's going to make you money, what's going to make your customers love your business and keep good retention. And actually, it also helps in that whole planning process when you can see your revenue and your occupancy and the sources of business and the customers that love you. It can help you plan forward into new sites and new locations. And certainly at Res Harmonics, we hope to help you do that and to be a technology partner. So hopefully I can add something today. Really looking forward to the conversation. And yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Giles.
Thank you.
Now, this was a short intro. Yeah, please stop sharing. That would be great. Now we are back on the main stage in the panel room for you today. So I would like, before we now start, and we have sought to give you, the audience, a bit of background information, how we see that whole customer journey being adapted to a one dashboard approach. Before we start the discussion, I would like to, and I'm using the gallery view now, and I encourage everybody to use it. Just raise your hand if you are an operator. So I think it's great to see you all here. And just a comment and a suggestion from our end. Please use the chat to ask questions during the session. because we would like to keep it interactive. So going through certain topics we have prepared for you, and I will now starting to ask then potentially Gadetan and Ajay first, because Giles, you already mentioned the one dashboard approach and how Resomonics is keeping an eye on it. Ajay, may I ask you to give us a bit of background how the one dashboard, what does the one dashboard approach means to you, and how then the tech ecosystem relates to this?
Definitely. I think when you look at the rental lifecycle, it's one of the longest customer journeys. And I'm not just talking about this industry, but I'm talking about any industry. From the time someone starts thinking of a place to stay, till the time they move in, till the time they live, and eventually till the time they exit. If the operator does a good job, that's potentially an interaction or a life cycle, which is maybe like 12 to 18 months in a good case. And it's not just a single line interaction. There are multiple touch points, right, between the business and the customer, whether it is for doing discovery, whether it is for booking, whether it is for collecting rent, whether it is interacting with the community, whether it is for property maintenance. There are so many different touch points owing to the nature of the interaction, right? People are living in these spaces. So understandably, the number of touch points is going to be incredibly high. The one dashboard approach is essentially a thought process where you kind of bundle multiple products and multiple technologies together so that the business that is using it has a single application which they can use to run their business. And there are two stakeholders here. One is obviously your own team. If you're the business, like you need software for your team to run all of this. And second is the tenant and the customer. They need an application or an interface to essentially, interact back with your team and with your property. So the single dashboard approach is basically a thought process where you kind of bundle everything together so that you can have a streamlined business operation as well as give a great experience to your tenants.
Great answer. So I like that operations efficiency thought, which is behind the one dashboard approach. Gadetan, I mean, what does it mean to you, and how do you see also the tenant, the resident being part of that journey? Can you relate to that?
Yeah, I think the biggest driver for us was visibility on our operations, really understanding on a hyper granular level what kind of profitability each and every one of our rooms was bringing back to us. We grew very fast in very different markets, and without a single source of truth, data you can trust, it's very, very tough to grow and to grow effectively. Because you're taking risks on new demographics, on new neighborhoods, on new price points, and if you don't have a single dashboard to look at that data, it gets tricky, especially because we are low margin business. It's everyday low price. You got to be chasing every cent and making sure that your community managers, the people in charge of the actual experience, don't get bogged into admin, because it's the worst that can happen. When the community manager is not actually listening to a member but trying to check another one in or solve a ticket or whatever, you will really damage your experience. And so the one dashboard helps us allocate resources, basically trust the data we have across different platforms, and then allocate for the best.
Yeah, great takeaway. I mean, freeing up time for the humans being, or the staff members being involved with keeping the human in the center and the customer in the center. So I really like that approach. Giles, do you have a comment on that? I'm starting from a one dashboard approach.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the guys have actually covered, I think, some of the key points to it. The thing I would add to it is it helps you align with your strategy to your business. When you set out why you're doing co-living, you're going to have some visions as to what's important, why people will come to your business. What is it about your brand that people are attracted to? Some co-living is, will be focusing on a certain segment. Some will be looking at different age groups. Or so on, but actually you'll have your secret sauce built into your strategy. The one dashboard approach, where you can just at a high level say, am I doing my sales in the way that I want to do it? And am I looking after customers in the way that I want to? Tick, yes, I am. Same with your operations, same with your financials. The whole of that experience on one dashboard just allows you to go, is my business running as I want it to run? And if it is, great, everyone's cool, everything's green. And if it's not, you go, actually, you need to pay a little bit more attention to this area. And it just is a great way to performance manage the business and make sure you're caring for your customers and caring for your business and growing it.
Customer care. That's another takeaway I take, so really good. Now, for the audience being potentially not as involved in the entire journey of residents, I would like to keep an eye now with my next question on the phases I briefly introduced in the beginning, starting with the onboarding phase, going then to the in-house life. What are the differences? I would like to split it a bit so that we don't talk all of you on the same topic. Giles, would you again give it a start to help us with your favorite use case covered by the onboarding phase? I mean, what's that really stands out in the onboarding phase which needs to be taken care of?
Yeah, I think with onboarding, obviously, it's about making sure that you are treating your customers on a journey, so bringing them in a really comfortable way. So the way that we've seen the one dashboard approach, or dashboards and reporting help with that, is actually you'll have inquiries into the business, you'll have engagement where you might be doing viewings or showing people around, and then you'll have the sort of contracting and referencing and so forth piece. And then, of course, that check-in and inventory world. They all fit into sort of sales pipelines or steps along that process. And just having visibility of where people are in that journey and how long they've been in those states allows your team to reach out to them and say, are you having any questions about moving in to our property, or any difficulties with referencing and so forth? And it just makes it really clear who you need to be sort of looking after. But then also with sort of onboarding world and just generally promoting your business, the understanding who your customers are and where they're coming from is really key. And so having it in a dashboard to say, actually, our most happy customers, because this journey that we talk about here is, from first engagement with the business through a long journey, as Ajay has mentioned, through to checkout. Actually, if you can say our happiest customers come from these sales channels and are from these demographics, and our saddest customers, God forbid, are struggling because of these things, then you can actually cut through the noise of individual scenarios and say, actually, at scale, we need to improve these areas of our business. At scale, these are the guys who like what we do. Where did they come from? And therefore, where can we get more of them from? And it really makes your marketing laser focused, your sales messaging and journey laser focused, and then actually, as a result of that, you can probably look after your customers better because you're running a process that is repeatable. But key to that is how much they want to hear from you. And the interaction. So it really just helps with that sort of targeting what you do, ensuring you're doing it at the right time, and therefore ultimately creating that best experience and the best profit for your business.
I hear you saying so that basically the onboarding phase already takes some elements out of the discovery and curation phase in it. I think it's key, and that's a good point. Now, Ajay, what's your favorite use case or the favorite one which really stands out on the in-house life, in the in-house life phase, coming from our approach?
When you look at life in-house, that's the longest portion of the customer life journey. Possibly they're going to be with you for a few months. If you do a good job, they're possibly going to be with you for at least a year or more. Now, every touch point that comes within, between your business and with your customer, if you do a good job, you'll add a layer of technology in between, whether it is for invoicing and collecting rent every month, whether it is going to be to allow them to chat with all of their neighbors and, kind of like build a community, whether you want to organize events and ask people to book a ticket or, schedule a spot before they attend. Now, you can actually add technology throughout the entire value chain. One example that comes to mind is for one of our clients who has about 500 rooms and odd. And they had a specific problem that a lot of their tenants were not paying their rent on time. And they wanted to see how do we try to solve this problem. And when we kind of dug through the data, we understood that the tenants who were actively engaged in the community, people who were attending events, people who were chatting on the online forums, people who were like very much part of the community, they actually paid their rents on time. It's the people who were disengaged from the community, they were the ones who were actually defaulting and delaying paying rent. Now, an insight like this, if you were using a separate tenant experience application, and if you're using, let's say, a QuickBooks for your accounting, you would have never been able to tie these two insights together and, kind of like come to something actionable. But when you do have a single dashboard, you kind of like can tie this in together and, come up with pretty unique insights. So that's one of my favorite use cases of the single dashboard approach.
I have a fun question now. We always struggle naming tenants or residents. What is your preferred definition in the way how you call them?
I call them residents, mainly because of two reasons. A lot of spaces don't think of it as tenants, they think of it as members, and they kind of sell it as, like membership. So from that's one reason to call it a resident and not a tenant. Another use case is that a lot of buildings, they are not specifically only for the purpose of rental, especially strata units and larger multifamily buildings. Quite a few of the occupants are owners who are just staying in the property, and quite a few are tenants who are staying in the property. So I prefer a neutral term just choose to go with residents.
I can second that. How do you relate to that, Gaetan? Is that the way you?
We go by members, landlords, and staff.
Well, I think
three stakeholders.
Great. Now, I would like to go with you now, Gaetan. So now we could keep talking about the other phases, and I think it's also part of the tech community to go more in the details of offboarding and afterlife. Now, if we take a moment now to zoom out a bit and talk about how we can report all the data flows, would that be a topic you would like to give your experience on how reporting and analytics can work within that process?
I think it's one of the issues that really crystallizes the integration of business and technology. The idea that without alignment between technology and business, no technology is going to deliver any kind of quality experience. And when you go through the exercise of determining what each KPI for a co-living business means for every single different team, and aligning your systems to allow for that flexibility, those single views, if the design teams look at a view, the sales team looks at another view, finance looks at another view, marketing looks at another view, you find out that everybody's got a slightly different definition of, for example, of LTV or a customer one or a customer in, and going through that process and building flows of data entry, of integration that maintain that accuracy across the life cycle, across the different touch points. If you look at the customer journey today in a co-living space, they'll come in contact with at least 5 to 25 different types of stakeholders who all come at the problem from a different angle. A community manager and a designer don't speak the same language. They have the same purpose, but it's your job as a technology provider to align these people around, what is it that matters in the end, and translate that in terms of UX. And then that starts showing in your reporting. And for me, that was really one of the aha moments. Is like, okay, so if we can nail our reporting, if we can all get aligned on these numbers, then through a process of reverse engineering, our business will be aligned, our member experience will improve, and we can start, taking calculated risk and move in a structured manner. So I think that was a big one for us.
May I ask you another question, just randomly now? Was that experience now driving Hamlet to go from an operator to a software as a service provider?
I'd say that the pain that we inflicted ourselves going through that process definitely gave us the confidence of being able to put out a product in the market. Which one drove the other, I don't know. But yes, it was a very structuring process that we realized we didn't want anybody else to go through. And I think Giles and Ajay will agree on this. Co-living operators who don't have a system today, do not build this yourself. there is no point. Just onboard an existing solution, have it customized, but do not go through this pain because there really is no point. We're all putting out great products at great price points.
I see you nodding, so you want to give a comment?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I've built one of these for our own business. I've built 2 of these for large companies, and I've built Res Harmonics. So I've literally seen this from all sides. And you know, the only reason to build your own technology is if it doesn't exist, because it's expensive to build. It uses completely different brains to your operating brain to build technology. Gaetan's point around using it as a great way to align is bang on. But actually, you can buy this in now, and you've got specialist companies. All 3 of us are specialist companies interested in this industry. We're not hoteliers. We're not sort of just pure long-let operators. We're talking about co-living and the hospitality that co-living provides, and long and short stay. So buy something in as a service. It's then cost effective for you, but buy it as a service because it's then our responsibility to make that service as relevant to you in 5 years' time as it is today. And so we spend all our time talking to clients about what they need, what works for their customers, what works for their business, and then building that. And the moment we stop doing that, you switch providers. And so, you know, it's absolutely in our interests to deliver something that's going to make your business.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to launch our first poll. Dear Kate, next to me sitting. So she will launch a poll, which actually now, with a bit of background, what can be covered as a one dashboard approach, also points what our audience is interested in the most. So let's see how it goes during the poll. Now, let me ask straight away, because otherwise we run totally out of time. What are, now if we covered a bit already about the challenges of a single dashboard approach. Is there anything, Ajay, you would like to mention? What are the most frequent asked topics about, or the known topics about the challenges of a single dashboard approach?
I think there are 2 or 3 challenges that we constantly come across. Every company has its own unique workflow internally, and how people handle marketing, to how they handle booking, how they manage operations, how they manage community building. From our experience, no 2 companies do it the same way. But everyone wants the software to work for their particular business operations, and so they want it to work for them. So a big portion of the challenge that we face is continuously customizing the platform to ensure that it can actually work for different people. I think that's a very, very big challenge that we constantly come across. A second challenge that we also notice is in integrating to a lot of third-party systems. Now, for example, let's say in the US, there's a lot of big property management softwares which have been in the market for decades, but they're not open systems, right? These companies were built in the 90s, and so some have been started in the 80s. They don't open out their APIs. You can't build on top of their system. It becomes incredibly challenging. So integrating with those businesses and those platforms also are a very, very big challenge for us. Outside of this, there are a few other minor points, but I think we can tackle them as we go ahead. But I think these are the primary examples.
Giles, something to add from your end?
I guess
it's also fine. I mean, then we are good to go.
I'm always keen to talk about these sort of things. I don't want to take up too much airtime, particularly, but I guess the biggest challenge is, you'll have your information, and it's got to be what's called normalized. So you want all of your information about your financials linked to your guests, linked to your properties, linked to the things, so that you can actually explore your information. It's the same when you integrate with guest satisfaction tools. You want to make sure that when that comes back into the platform, that it's linked to the important data points, what we'd call the dimension, so that you can actually say, actually, my happiest customers came from this sales channel. and so forth. So actually the challenges of a single dashboard is making sure that you link things together well. So that your customers, to AJ's point, can then explore the data and answer the questions that they need answering, and then format that into a dashboard that gives them insight, rather than just splurges out unrelated data.
Okay, now let's assume I'm an operator. I would be interested in one of these great one dashboard approach. Now, what would it mean for me? How can I budget? I mean, what is the financial component to it? If I would like to scale, if I would like to take software as a service component, like all of you offer, and I mean, then I have my branding, I have my brand, I have built something which is close to my vision, how I assume it works the best with the concept I have built. Now, that turns then also into the question of, I mean, how can I white label my offering? So this is a bit of my thinking right now. Now, what would it be? I mean, what would it mean now? How can I budget this, Gadetan? So can you give us a thought on how it goes from in-house software as a service at Hamlet? How can I achieve that?
Well, I mean, we touched on it earlier. The first decision you take is whether you want to do this yourself or on board an existing solution, right? That's a question that can range anywhere from 50,000 euros to 350. So, you know, not a light decision. And as Giles said, this is absolutely not the same skill set. And we've seen that internally. You know, people who think they understand software, but, you know, it's a different ballgame. We are in the alpha phase of rolling this out. In terms of pricing, white labeling, we're trying this out with our JV partners in Japan. So for us, it'll take a bit of time to come up with a hard number, but the idea we're going for is a price per member, give the flexibility to the operator to grow with us, bearing in mind that there is our solution, but then satellite solutions that need to also be accounted for in terms of specialist solutions. Think your CRMs, your electronic signatures, your ID verification software, you know, a lot of things that we integrate with. So I think that a ballpark figure range between anything between $5 to about 15 a month per member. I think that's a safe range. That's also a number we're going to try and match, because that's kind of our thinking behind, you know, we want to help the operator essentially free up some margin. And so we'd come in, replace a administrator or community manager, operations manager, would probably be a junior role between 2 to 3K that could handle some number of users, and sort of we've reversed priced the solution based on that. Not sure what my other colleagues have done. Christian, you're muted. No, you're muted. No, Christian, you really are muted.
Thanks.
There we go.
Thanks. Gadetan, thank you very much. I'm really looking at the time, and I would like at least look at one of the questions in the chat. So just really quick, AJ, Giles, is that the same model you are working as well? Just to give the audience a bit of a background, Gadetan mentioned the member model. Can you refer to this as well, or are you just going a total different model?
Different model. AJ, do you want to go first?
Sure. So we do based on number of units, not on members. So it depends on the size of your portfolio. And there's a separate fee if you want to do a white label. So that's a one-time fee. But on a recurring subscription model, it's based on your portfolio size. Okay, great.
So we do it by unit. And the reason that we've done it by unit is because your units are your earning capacity. So so what we've tried to do is to align your return on your profit with costs. So we do it by the unit, and And then the white labeling journey for us, our belief is your customers shouldn't know you're running Res Harmonics. You should know you're running Res Harmonics because it is all about your brand and your values and your service. So you can change those things yourselves in our platform, and I think that's the key. It should be behind the scenes so that your messaging comes first.
Okay, thank you, Giles. I had many more questions for you, but as always, we are running a bit out of time. So
we'll do this offline,
as always. Now, there's one question I would like to raise, which I think is super interesting because it's showing the blended concept again. We haven't talked that much about hotel, the blended version between hotels and hospitality-led system and then co-living. Mm-hmm. But the question is more going about co-working and the co-living component, how that can be facilitated by one dashboard approach from you guys. So if you would be able to give a really quick answer on this one, Giles, potentially you go first.
Awfully sorry, I looked at the chat there. What was the question?
The question is the one dashboard approach you are managing also capable to look after a co-working component offering in the user journey, so to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that co-living is about live, work, play. So we're trying to cover all areas of that. So there are increasingly spaces for people to work in co-living spaces. Mm-hmm. There's events, there's places to relax and entertain. And the same principles apply across all of them, which is, the onboarding, the purchase, the delivering it well, and then the financial side of it.
Okay, thank you, Giles. Ajay, you want to go second?
Sure. We do. I think the way we look at it is that whether it's co-working or co-living or student housing or multifamily, at the end of the day, it's people and they're interacting with other people and with the underlying real estate. So how you manage memberships, how you manage community, how you manage operations, how you manage facility booking, how you manage rent collections, all of these interactions are same. The only thing that kind of changes is what are the details of the underlying real estate. Is it a seat? Is it a bed? Is it a room? Is it a storage unit? It's only that, a few data points change, but at the end of the day, the businesses are extremely similar. And when you're building a software for one, you can easily extend it to all the others. And we do that as well. So co-living, student housing, co-working, multifamily, single family, a whole suite of other asset classes can be managed using the house fund as well.
Great answer. I like it. Gadetan, you're the last one. Anything to
I'll keep it short, but if you can do co-working, then you can do co-living. The other way around is not exactly true, because there's an emotional element to it where you're going to ask for more than just administration management, which is basically what co-working is, more the bulk of it. So yeah, in that way, easily done.
Interesting. So out of our experience, we have seen also exactly the other way around, being a challenge. But I'm super proud that you guys are already seeing that as a blended version and being capable of taking care of this use case as well. Now we are in the last minute. I want to thank you all, actually being in that co-petition role here on stage, doing similar applications, all one dashboard related. And I think it's our approach as we do it in the co-living, co-live community to just join, share, empower each other, educate, and help learn with each other. So that is actually, I have to thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the day.
Likewise. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Well done.
Thank you.